September 11th, 2001. Do you remember where you were? I do. Do you remember the shock, the fear, the terror that those fateful events struck into our hearts? Do you remember the confusion, the questions we had? What's going to happen next? I do recall that on that Sunday after Tuesday, September 11, 2001, the church was packed. Churches all over America were packed because people understood the danger that faced us all. And even those people who are not regular church attenders felt that they needed to be in the presence of God. Shortly after that, just the Tuesday after that Sunday morning, we started a men's prayer group. And we've been meeting together for 15 years. But I think we would all be safe in saying that we don't have that sense of urgency that we felt on that first Sunday after 9/11, that we truly needed God. And that it was time for the church to stand up and be the church in our nation, to hold forth the hope that is found only in Jesus Christ. That there is no security, as the psalmist said, unless the Lord protect the city, they labor in vain who try to protect it. God has been trying to get our attention as a nation, and He's been trying to get our attention as the church in America today. To be the people of God, to be faithful and true to Him, and to hold up the hope that is found in Jesus Christ. And so I think it's entirely appropriate for us today to spend some time praying for revival in the church, and praying for awakening in our land. I fully believe that 9/11 was God's wake-up call to us. And some of us woke up, but many have fallen back asleep again in complacency. And so I want to ask us to just go to our knees in prayer. I want to ask you, if you're burdened today, would you just come and let's just kneel here on this anniversary, 15th anniversary of 9/11. I want us just to come. Come right on now. Let's just use this altar as a place to cry out to the Lord. If you want to kneel from wherever you are right there, feel free to do that. Men and women alike, come, young people. Some of you were not even born 15 years ago, and yet you've heard the stories. I want us to pray. Pour out our hearts to the Lord today. On that Sunday after 9/11, I preached from Psalm 91, 1 and 2. 9:1-1. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Church, let's go to prayer now. Lord, I can replay the events in my mind as though it were yesterday. Those images on the television screen. The calls of my college-age daughters, Dad, what are we supposed to do? The thoughts, how will this change America? What opportunities will this open up for the church to be the church? And Lord, then our hearts turn to those heartbreaking images of our first responders who ran toward the danger when others were running away from it. And the hundreds and hundreds of firemen and policemen and Port Authority officials and others, Lord, who died trying to rescue. And then, Lord, for the days of war that followed, and the thousands and thousands of our men and women who marched off to the Middle East to fight for our freedoms there, to protect us here. And Lord, for those who gave their lives, and for those, Lord, who are still there, even some of our own, Lord, who are in Iraq and Afghanistan, still fighting the menace of terrorists. But God, we know that the battle is not won with armies. Ultimately, God, you and you alone can change hearts and can change nations. And God, we need you to do that all over this world. We need you to do it right here in our land. For what can we expect as a nation? To continuously shake our fist in your face and ignore you and expect that we will not be chastened, that we will not be judged for that. God, forgive us. Forgive us, Lord. And help us as a church and as the church here in America to shine the light and the love of Jesus Christ and the hope that is found only in the gospel. And so, Lord, this is our prayer, our humble prayer today, God. On this anniversary day, when we're reminded over and over again. But thank you for the future that we have in Jesus. Our future is secure. And help us to live as people like that. In Jesus' name.